I watched a great new documentary on HBO that's called Robin Williams, Come Inside My Mind. It's directed by Marina Zenovich, who directed documentaries on Roman Polanski and Richard Pryor in the past. Come Inside My Mind is very special because it deals with a subject, Robin Williams, that I think most of us have known for big chunks of our lives. He has been so omnipresent and been so, available to us through all kinds of means, through television, through animation, through movies, through stage performances and stand-up. He's been everywhere. I myself have met Robin Williams. I met him at E3 years ago, and it was an incredible experience in my career to be able to meet this guy who was so open for people. And I'll tell you quickly a quick story about that experience. I met him. I had a quick conversation with him, and I said, "Would you like to be on the show?" And he said, "Sure, we'll talk about video games." And within a second of the light going on the camera and myself talking with him, we were just surrounded like we were in a Greek theater all of a sudden. There were just people everywhere just watching all of this. And of course I got a bit nervous, but he was so friendly and kind and had such an unabashed love for video games. He loves Zelda, named his daughter Zelda, and Cody, I think, is named for one of the characters in Final Fight. But anyways, Robin Williams has been around and available to us. So one of the cool things that is done in this documentary is he basically self-narrates it, and he talks about, his experiences and his anecdotes and his perspectives on how things were happening. This was a kid that went to Juilliard, became great friends with Christopher Reeve. I'm an enormous Christopher Reeve fan, so I knew this already, but it was great to see these private photographs and hear these stories of the two of them together. Just beautiful, right? Just a great trip through these incredible moments in this person's life that we all got to know along the way, especially if you were like me, who grew up in the 80s and remembered Mork Mindy, which was created because Gary Marshall asked his son why he didn't like watching Happy Days anymore, and he said, well, he had been enamored with Star Wars, as all of us were in that generation, and he wanted a spaceman. And so Gary Marshall said, "Got writers, make a spaceman for Happy Days," and that's how Mork was born. And they cast Robin Williams, and then they turned it into a successful standalone television series, Mork and Mindy, unbeknownst to Pam Dauber, who was cast alongside Robin Williams. And they just spliced episodes of another show that Pam Dauber was working on, and they spliced in some stuff that Robin Williams had done on Happy Days, and they just cut a really quick pilot together, and then they had a full episode order on ABC, and it was a hit show. And it turned Robin Williams from this street performer, this vagabond with really fantastic performance chops, but it's sort of an unfiltered, raw, untapped potential kind of performer, into this megastar that was all over the place. But he was still doing stand-up, and he got caught up in the comedy scene, and we see all of these anecdotes. The comedy scene that was happening in the 80s in Los Angeles, and befriended Jim Belushi and met Steve Martin and Billy Crystal and all these people along the way, got addicted to drugs. And they actually had this compelling sequence in the documentary about how Robin Williams was with Jim Belushi the night he died, and had left him and recognized that he was really wasted, and then he died in the Chateau Marmont, and that basically sobered up Robin Williams and changed his trajectory again. And we see that the end of the show had some pretty dramatic impact on his life and his relationship with his wife, who tried to make a go of it, but Robin Williams was like this shooting star that had so much attention that it kind of turned him into an industry, his ex-wife says, and so that relationship dissolved. So there's some really interesting insight in there. One of my favorite bits is with Billy Crystal talking about how he didn't want anything out of Robin Williams, like so many other people in his life. He just wanted the friendship, and they really had this great friendship that lasted for years and years and years. And so we get to see the human, behind all of this, even though there's such a humanistic kind of quality to the performances of Robin Williams that I think we all identify with, which turned him into this eternal celebrity and into this eternal star, this celebrity that was also open and approachable, and his stand-up was so raw and so unfettered and felt so organic. And David Letterman actually says that, because he was a stand-up coming up at the same time as Robin Williams, and he saw Robin Williams and he said he looks like he's flying, like he's levitating off of the stage. And that's kind of what it was like. And I think that there has always been this sense of like, wow, man, this guy's just giving it everything he's got, and that can be a bit overwhelming, but we got to know him. we got to know him through his roles and his interviews and his performances and his stand-up. But this also adds another human depth and exploration that is so worthwhile, and it's so well crafted. And after watching this, you understand that Robin Williams wasn't just always on. There was a quiet introspection to him and a craftsmanship in the way that he put together his pieces, but also this unbelievable, unbridled, improvisational kind of spirit that this man had and gave to all of us. And of course it's incredibly sad because we all know how Robin Williams died and you know, the tragic events that unfolded to lead to that decision, but it's a great celebration of an incredible human being, and I was floored watching it and moved. And I absolutely, if you're a fan of Robin Williams, or even if you're just newly discovering his work, I think that this stands as a pretty good testament to the power of an individual and what he meant to all of us that loved his work. You know, we're gonna miss him, and the world is been definitely a lot emptier since he's been gone. But Robin Williams, Come Inside My Mind, is absolutely worth your time. It's on HBO now, but I'm sure it's going to come to home video and other flavors down the road. It's a very good movie, and it's absolutely worth your time. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.